Hello, everybody. We're going to wait for a few more, see how many more participants we get, and then we'll get started and I'll introduce everybody. And yeah, so we're up to 32. That's cool.
Awesome.
Give it maybe 2 more minutes. We'll start at 7:02.
So Tim, did you hear about the kid who was asking his father to define what definition of a solar eclipse was? And he said, "Dad, can you tell me?" And his father said, "No, son."
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That's just wrong.
Okay, for the participants who heard that, yeah, these are groaners, and Mr. Trowbridge is famous for these. The kids tell them all over school.
So if you join band and you make it to high school, you know what to look forward to. So
Okay, I'm going to get started. So the first, I'd like to introduce our panelists for the night and let them say hi so you can see them. The first panelist is Joe Godfrey. He is our middle school band director, and he is the one that's doing all the slides tonight. The next one is James Trowbridge. He is our high school band director, and he will be monitoring the chat room because with a webinar, we don't have the ability for you to ask questions live. So you'll just go to the chat section and write your questions, and Mr. Trowbridge will be answering those for us. And our very special panelists are Tim and Denise Chapel, and they are the owners of Mobile Music in Canandaigua, and they help us out with all of our musical needs. They come to the school once a week to help us with anything. And they are going to be talking about acquiring instruments and all that good stuff. So let's get started. Let's go to the next screen, Joe. Things are different this year, and choosing an instrument is going to be totally different. Normally what I do is I have your child in music class come into my office 5 at a time, and they try out the instruments to see which ones actually fit them best with their face, how their face is formed, and what instruments they can make a sound out of, a really good sound out of. But because of COVID this year, that we can't do that. I can't take the chance. I wouldn't do that to your children, and they're hybrid anyway. So basically, they will not be coming to lessons in my room this year. They will be doing virtual lessons, and we've been doing that since March. And there's many kids that are actually doing very well because I send a video out once a week, and I try to keep it to my video portion to 15 minutes or less. Some days I'm better at that than others, but they have me at your house every day to play along with. I play what I want them to work on. They can play along with it. And at the end of the week, I ask them to send me 1 or 2 things back. And a lot of them are actually doing very well that way. So here's how we're going to be picking instruments this year. And moms and dads, I'm going to need your help with this. There's a student form like this that hasn't been sent out yet. You don't really need this form. Can you guys see this? Jim, can you see this?
I'll put it up closer to the camera.
would you like me to display that one there, Lynn?
Yes, please. Would you do that for me, Joe?
You need just a second, folks.
Okay.
We'll put that up real quick here. Okay, so choose it. Which one is it? The choosing.
It's a student instrumental choice form.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
There it is. What I would like is for your child to let me know what their first 3 choices of instrument is. First choice being their ultimate favorite, and then second choice, and then third choice. You don't need to send this form in to me. If you would like to, you don't need to send this exact piece of paper in to me. If you would like to just talk with your child, email me at lmorris@midlakes.org. I will get those starting tomorrow. And hopefully, once I get most of them in, I really will try to honor your child's first choice. However, The thing that would keep me from doing that is if I get 40 people that want to play flute and 20 that want to play percussion. That just doesn't work for a band program, which is why a second choice and a third choice is good for us. But again, I really will try to honor your child's first choice. And underneath, I wrote that guitar and piano are not choices for the band instrument program. Lessons for those can be found elsewhere in the community. So if you could return, pardon me?
Such as mobile music.
Yes, exactly. So if you could send those back to me, I mean, you can even do that tonight if you want to, that would be great. What I will do is keep them in the order of the date that I received them, and we'll do it in a first come, first serve style. I really have to try and keep the instrumentation. I've never had perfect instrumentation in my band. I just don't believe in that. I'd rather put a child on an instrument they're going to be successful on rather than, having perfect instrumentation. I know some schools, well, actually, I don't really know any school that does that, but I know that there are schools that, oh no, I have to have perfect instrumentation. That's not what I do. We do have instruments at school, mostly the bigger instruments that are not able to be rented from or got purchased from Mobile Music. We definitely have the bigger instruments, the tuba, the euphonium, the trombone, French horn. I do have a couple of saxophones. I do have a couple of flutes and clarinets still. I have several trumpets. So those are choices. And usually what I do is try and give those to students where the cost would just be prohibitive for them to play, except for the low brass. Low brass, if you have a child who wants to play tuba, we got the tuba for them. If they want to play French horn, we've got a French horn for them. So you'll just let me know that.
And I'm going to interrupt you real quickly. You had a great question. What about violin? And my answer was, unfortunately, we don't have any teachers for string instruments. So you wouldn't want us teaching you strings.
Yeah, we're strictly a band program. There's not an orchestra in our school district. We have chorus and we have band.
But I did say that there are local places
Sure.
that you have string teachers that if they really want to pursue that, they could. So including Mobile Music.
Absolutely. Yep. So if you have an instrument at home, say you had a cousin or somebody who played, I don't know, trumpet, and you were thinking about having your child play that, that's perfectly fine. But I would ask you to have Mobile Music look the instrument over to make sure it's still in working condition. Because what the worst thing is taking 2 lessons and then finding out that you can't go on because your instrument doesn't work right in the situation that we're working on. So if you could do that, that would be great. So we don't have children having to start and then having to wait for the instrument to be repaired or looked at. Okay. So for the rest of this, what I'm going to do is go through what a normal non-COVID program would look like. So here it is. We already did about choosing an instrument. I try and match the instrument to what a child can handle, make a good sound on, and of course, what a child wants to play. Wanting to play an instrument because they like the sound is the most important thing. I have 3 siblings and we all picked different instruments. And I like to tell the story that my sister picked clarinet, not because my grandfather was a professional clarinet player, but because it matched her hair. I don't know. That's all she told me. And I was like, well, as long as you're happy. So yeah, the instrument choices, that the brands that I pick, first of all, Mobile Music carries everything that we need. There's a question about drums being an option. We call it percussion because it's not just drums. They'll start on bells, and I have them play bells until they get to a certain point where they could actually be in band and do a good job with the bells. And then we start with learning the practice pad, the drums. So yes, percussion is a choice. And I will take 2 percussionists this year. That's all we can handle in the band program. So yes, percussion is a choice. So anyway, the instruments that Mobile Music has for us are instruments that I asked them to carry for us. And the reason is because of the quality of the instrument it is not a beginner level instrument. It's more of an intermediate level. And the reason I chose those is because then you're only purchasing the instrument once. And they are starting in a quality instrument. I have found with some of my students that after the first 3 months of playing, they've already outgrown a beginning instrument. So get a middle of the road, intermediate level instrument that you can take right through college, or not college, I'm sorry, right through high school. And the only thing you'll probably need to replace as the child gets older is the mouthpiece. We do use a smaller size mouthpiece because we have smaller kids at this level. They get to middle school. They go a little bit to a bigger mouthpiece. And by the time they're in high school, they're probably on a more professional sized mouthpiece. Would you agree with that, Jim?
I'm sorry, I was answering a question. Repeat that, I'm sorry.
By the time they're at your level, they're probably on a more professional sized mouthpiece, an adult sized mouthpiece.
Yes, most of them
Yeah.
changed to at least an intermediate size. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a quick side note as well. Wherever you buy your instrument from, whether it's mobile music, make sure you consult your band directors. We certainly shouldn't go to eBay and buy a shiny new saxophone for $100 because you will get it pretty much a piece of junk. So make sure you check with mobile music first or with your band directors, because otherwise you really could end up with something that you're going to regret purchasing.
Oh, did you say something about like eBay and stuff?
Yeah, you don't want to shop
No.
there, folks. Just seek us out for some advice. You really don't want to go out and buy something just because it looks brand new. Those saxophones for $99.
Oh,
because they're brand new. You don't want them.
yeah. Be very careful, especially if you're shopping on eBay and places like that, because nobody's going to write up, oh, this instrument needs several things fixed on it, but it's still a good quality instrument. They don't say that. They tell you, oh, it's a wonderful instrument and stuff like that. It's kind of a buyer beware, and I'm sure you are aware of that. You know that, but especially with musical instruments, they're not going to tell you what's wrong with it or why they're selling it. So yeah. Just be careful with that. If you're going to use a school instrument, which I have a closet full of instruments that I would love to have kids use, it carries a $35 per semester user's fee. And the reason we charge it is to cover any little things that might go wrong with it. And also at the end of the year, we clean those instruments. And especially, if you're going to use a school instrument, you need to know that that instrument has been cleaned. It's not, anything that your child's putting their mouth on that somebody else has put their mouth on. Ugh. So it's definitely a clean instrument. They don't have to be aware or be worried about that. Okay. Mobile music does come to our school once a week, and they will bring reads and new books and anything like that. So if you call mobile music and let them know, my child's at Midlakes, they need this and that, mobile music will bring it out to the school for us. All
Lynn,
right.
can I interrupt you for a second? There was a
Sure.
great question. These questions are great. Students in BOCES, can they join the band? And I want to mention something that I couldn't write because it was too long. But we've had students that have gone and entered that are in BOCES with varying degrees of success, but they all have flourished in one way or another. Some just are part of that program and benefit so much from it. Some have added so much to it. There, varying degrees, but yeah, I encourage that. And your child best if they're going to be a constant distraction or something like that, then maybe lessons might be a better avenue than band. But we try to include as many people as we can.
We also work with the BOCES faculty. They'll let us know if it's something that is something that they can handle, because what you don't want to do is frustrate them. And a lot of them, we will work with them absolutely to try and get that child to take lessons. They have to get to a certain point of success in lessons to be able to join the band. They're not just in band to begin with, they're actually learning the instrument. And if we can get a BOCES, I don't even know what they're called. They're like TAs that go with children. They come to the lessons also with them. And we get them to a point where, yes, they can be in band. And, we would love to have them do that. But I work with the BOCES faculty to see, what their schedule's like. And if that's something they can fit in, then yeah, we do that. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. So on the next page, does it say cleaning kits for band? Oh, lessons. Okay. So lessons are held on a weekly, now that says 7-day schedule. It's back to 6. Thank you. So lessons during a regular school year, it would be if your student's lesson is on day 1, it's on every day 1, but it's at a different time. So if it's at 9 o'clock one week, it would be at 9:30 the next, 10 o'clock. So they're not missing the same thing. Right now, we've gone to a 4-day schedule, and I really kind of think we're going to keep that once things go back to normal. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure, but I have Monday students, Tuesday students, Thursday students, Friday students, and what I'll do is make them day 1, 2, 3, 4. When school gets back to normal, I'm going to try, if they're on a 4-day schedule, I'm going to try to be on a 5-day schedule, because then it'll be about 20 weeks before they actually miss the same thing. So what I'm trying to do is make it so that they can still do their lesson, which they would come to my office once a cycle and have a half-hour lesson. And these are group lessons, so they wouldn't be alone. They'll be with a small group, usually 3 students. And then it's would be on a different school day and a different time each week. So I'm hoping that's the way it works. But we change things every so often, and we do it for the child's benefit. And I'm so glad that I don't have to make those schedules, because I wouldn't be very good at it. All right. So I expect a lesson of a student who's in school on their lesson day. And I ask them to come, even if they've forgotten their stuff. I always have extras, and I just don't want them to miss their lesson, because then it's another week before I see them again. And the beauty actually of having virtual lessons now is now I know how to do virtual lessons. So if your child misses a lesson, I can send that lesson in a video home, so they haven't missed anything. So I'm actually kind of thinking that that's pretty cool that that's happened. Not cool that the reason for having to have this happen, but I've actually learned something so that it will help students. One of the things I do is I train students how to take care of their instruments, because they're not toys. And we start right away, day 1. This is not a toy. It's an expensive thing, and it's something that will bring you joy your whole life. You can play music your whole life. I grew up in a family of professional musicians, and they played right up to the very end, some of them. And I have a sister who's a professional clarinetist, and she has the clarinet that she used in high school, and she has a professional clarinet. And when she goes out and plays jobs, depends on where the job is. If it's outside, she takes her high school clarinet. She's not going to take her professional instrument. So she took good care of it, and so she can do that. All right. Next slide, please. Okay. A typical lesson in a typical school year. Students arrive, we put the instruments together, supervised. We do warm-ups so that our mouths and our bodies and the instruments are ready to do the day's activities. We play through the previously assigned materials. We look at new materials. This becomes our newly assigned practice material. We go through band music or other fun music, because fun music's important. It's important for kids to be able to play music that's fun and that they like. And then we take instruments apart, cleaning as we go. Okay, next slide. Practice. Ooh, this is a tough one for everybody concerned. What I would really like in a perfect world, is students practicing 30 minutes each day, 7 days a week. In a realistic world, as long as they're spending time on their instrument and they're really enjoying playing and they're doing some of the stuff that I've asked, and they're getting things set up correctly, we're not going to be yelling and screaming, because nobody wants to be forced to practice. It just isn't fun then. What I try and tell them, that the more they practice, the more fun it's going to be, the more they're going to want to. And the better they get at their instrument, the more they're going to want to play their instrument. It's a learning thing. And for the first 3 months, kids are really, it's new, it's cool, it's fun to do. And then all of a sudden it becomes more of a chore. And um, some of my students equate practice with punishment. And I don't know when that flips for kids. It's been a long time since I was a kid, but I try and let them know and give them something fun to do each week so that it doesn't seem like punishment.
And
So as
folks,
long as, go ahead.
one of the best things you can do is ask your kids to play for you. My 11th grade daughter doesn't love to practice all the time. And if I say the word practice, she generally doesn't. But if I say, hey, will you play that piece for me? It sounds great. She generally will. So the more you're involved as a parent and want to, it takes some time, but the more you sit down with your child and listen to them play, I guarantee you'll get better results if you're involved in listening to them a little bit. Even my 11th grade child loves to play for her parents.
They do. They'll tell you no and they'll go, but inside they're really going, oh, okay, So don't listen to that outside. Yeah, no, that's just a show. The other thing is with beginners, they are not going to be able to practice more than 5 to 10 minutes each day. They just don't have enough knowledge. They haven't learned the instrument enough. So that's why I think sending videos of here's what I want you to do. And then they have Miss Morris every day to turn on that video and go, oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. And they can play along with the video. And I try and be good hearted and fun. And they love it, I hope. And so you don't have to be like pushing them to do it. Just say, hey, let's go watch Miss Morris again. And hopefully that'll work. So when they get back to school, they'll have once a cycle or once a week lessons with me. And by the time they get home, they've forgotten half of what we talked about. But with the videos for the beginning students, they have exactly what I want them to do. They have a better chance of starting a good habit from the get-go, which is great. All right, next video or next screen. Entrance into band. Once a student has an instrument, doesn't mean they're in band. They have to get to a certain point in their lesson book. They have to learn enough notes. They have to have enough dexterity on the instrument to be able to be in band. But once they're in band, that's because they have the basics well underway. I try to get them to be in band as soon as possible because now it's really fun. And once they get into band, usually you don't have a problem with them. They're not going as much, but that's where it's fun because then it becomes a social, everybody's playing the same thing. It sounds great. And it's great because anytime we can get kids being social with each other in a learning situation, they're the happiest, I think. So I try to get them in as soon as possible. All right. And a tangible point, we use what I call the green book. It's called Student Instrumental Course. And each student has their own book. Once they get to lesson 8, boom, that's the spot where I know they have enough to be in band. So I try and get them there ASAP. Okay, next slide. To remain in band. Now, this is tricky. I thought about whether I wanted to keep this slide in there, but I think it's important. Students must show or must have your permission as a parent. They need to have responsible practice habits. Now, responsible as an adult is different than responsible as a child. All right. If they're doing their best, and I tell them, do your best is enough. And some days best is going to be different than other days. So responsible practice habits, are you picking it up? Are you doing the best you can? That's responsible. Are you being responsible with the care of the instrument? You can't play on a broken instrument. And when you're in band, you need to be responsible of everybody else's instrument too. And proper behavior. I really don't have that much of a problem because we are busy. We are moving. So they really don't have a chance. And the only behavior problem I have is when we just get into a silly way of being. But that's part of being social and having fun. So I have to say, I really haven't had that much of a problem with behavior. Once in a while, we have a student who comes in who just had a horrible start to the day and is not at their best. And so if that happens and I can catch that ahead of time, I try and give them a little bit of a hey, let's do this instead, and just give them some chill out time. And usually band and the music helps with that a lot. So, we play more than we talk, and we try and have a really good time. And band is something that they will have those experiences with them the rest of their lives. The best times I remember being in school was being in the band, and actually being on my baseball or my softball team, because those were the social times. We had great times, and those are the times that I remember the most, that meant the most to me in school. Yes, I did my homework. Yes, I learned all that stuff, but we're trying to make um, times for these kids to be able to look back on when they get to my age, and go, oh, remember that? Oh, that was so much fun. So I'm hoping that for all the kids out there. Okay, next slide.
Lynn, while you're changing slides, can I just ask, I just realized I was answering in the chat room, and I hope everybody's getting their answers. And then I saw this question and answer. So if you're not getting your question answered in the chat room and you need it, would you please type that again for me? Sorry, I'm new at this.
We're
Thank
all new at this. Yeah. Yep. Why I would ask a student not to return. This has happened only twice. So I don't want parents to be too concerned about this. Um, if they're fighting either on the bus or during rehearsal,
Okay.
and it's situational. It's like, what's going on? Band is first thing in the morning, and so hopefully we can get a child who comes to school having had a bad morning or something's going on in their life. Hopefully being in band will help them just relax a little bit. But I mean, if it gets to the point where they're fighting and they're either yelling and screaming or being physical with somebody, then they can't be there. They just can't. Abusive language directed at anyone. Now that's different than being silly. Okay. If you're hurting somebody's feeling or you're using inappropriate language, then you need a timeout. Disruptive behavior, you can't calm it down, you're just having a rough morning, then we're going to make sure that you get where you need to be so that you can have a little bit of a chill out. And asking them not to return doesn't mean not to return forever. It means, look, you just need to be in a space where you can just calm down, figure out what's going on, figure out how to get yourself back together. Okay. But there has been twice now where I've had to ask a child not to return. And that didn't mean forever. It just meant until we can get things, in perspective for you. A
And folks,
letdown in practice. What?
and Lynn, real quick, the band students, folks, in our experience over the years, are some of the kindest, most
Absolutely.
upstanding students in your school district, hands down. We have little to no problems with music students. They are
Right.
truly you want your kids in the music program. We have some of the best, finest kids. Not to say other kids aren't, but we run into nothing but just upstanding students generally.
They really are the leaders in kindness, and
Mhm.
yeah, they're little shining stars, and they're so much fun to be with. A letdown in practice time or lessons where their grades would start to not be good. I don't want to put a bad grade on a report card for any child. That's not okay. For me, I don't think it's okay for anybody. Music is a place where you can have fun, be social, make music together, and have it be an enjoyment. But if there's a letdown in practice time or lesson attendance where it's actually inhibiting the rest of the band to move forward, I'm going to ask that child to just not come to band for a few months. Let's get it back in gear. Let's get you back up to where you can really participate and not feel like you're the odd person out because you don't know what to do. Let's get it worked out, and then you can come back to band. Being asked to not come back to band is never an all the time thing. Once you're out, you're out. You can't come back. I don't do that. I want a child to be able to be there when they can be. Look, I spelled that. Go back for once, Joe. Go back one. I spelled severe wrong. Look at that. A severe drop in class grades. And I mean where they're going to fail the entire year. So, and I had this once. I had a teacher come to me. We really need this child in the morning or they are not going to be in the next grade. Okay. So you take that child in the morning, get them back up where they need to be. And when they're back up where they need to be, I want them back in band then. Okay. because I've had students where the only reason they come to school is because they're in music and they're in band and that's where they want to be. But let's face it, I'd rather see them advance to the next grade. Okay. So yeah. Too many misses. I hate that word illegal, but I asked them to try to be there and not miss more than 2 rehearsals. Now, you're sick, you're sick. So what's an illegal miss? I slept in. I went to a rock concert or a sporting event last night and I was too tired. Played outside the school and said, this is when we were on Taft Avenue. That's how old some of this is. Sorry. Taft Avenue, because everybody else was out playing football and I didn't feel like coming in. I felt kind of sick, but I came to school later. Well, if you're feeling sick in the morning, stay home if you're not feeling well. Because I kind of, just didn't feel like it. Or I'm being punished at home. Okay. Disclaimer, disclaimer. I'm not trying to tell you how to raise your child. But please try to find another punishment than keeping them from band. And that was a problem for me. And I tried to work it out. I really wasn't successful. So rather than have that child not be able to be back in, I just looked at him and I said, look, dude, stop doing that at home because you know it's going to happen. Please do your best. And I just let him stay in anyway, even though he was missing quite a few rehearsals because, this was it was kind of a sanctuary. So, sometimes I just can't help. So, but I'll try and make it in a child's best interest. Okay, next slide. What's legal? Sick all day. I'm sorry you're sick all day. Please get better quick. We love you. We miss you. Doctor or dental appointment. Ugh, that early in the morning, the dentist. Ooh. But you do what you can. You're the parent and you make the appointments when you can. And getting into dentists or doctors is crazy this time of year. So, it is what it is. I'm out of town with my parents. I'm visiting people. I'm, great. Have fun. Enjoy. A school field trip. Well, perfect. Have fun. Death in the family. I'm going to hope that never happens, but that's definitely a legal excuse. Circumstances beyond anyone's control, like the ice storm we had several years ago. And, some of us had electric, some of us didn't, and we couldn't get to school. These are all perfectly legal reasons to not be there. And if there's an ice storm, probably I won't be there. So, and I'll call ahead and cancel because I live in Monroe County, like almost by the lake. So yeah, if it's really bad weather, it's probably I won't be there. Okay, next slide.
Lynn,
Yes.
can I just interrupt for a second? There's quite a few questions about how do they choose the instrument and make sure it fits their child? If they wanted to play tuba, for instance, do
Sure.
they have to be big? If they
No.
do they have to be able to see up over the snare drum and that kind of thing? So can you answer to that, generally speaking?
Sure. Let's go there now. Okay. If your child is an itty bitty, I have had the best luck with tuba players that are the smallest kids in school. The tubas I have are half size and smaller. They're not full size tubas. And the nice part about tuba or baritone, which is half the size of a small tuba, is they have one at school and one at home. And I have what's called tuba tamers, which are little, the tuba sits in them. It holds the tuba for the child. The child just scooches the chair up. They adjust the tuba tamer to where the mouthpiece is even with their face, and the tuba tamer holds the tuba and they play into it. And we also have small, like kindergarten sized chairs that we set the tubas in so that the child never really has to hold the instrument except to hold it near them to play. So they aren't really holding the weight. Because
So
I have
the
to
bottom
tell
line
you,
is we'll make it work for a
correct.
student, no
Yes.
matter what the size. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yep. And you don't have to worry about the instruments being too big. We get instruments that fit the child. And if you have a child who's an itty bitty who wants to play tuba, oh yeah, it works. Trust me. I am a trumpet playing percussionist, and I got my first snare drum when I was 3 years old from my grandfather. And he built a stand for me that I could play that snare drum, and I had a great time. So we will make sure that the instrument will fit the child. The only thing I'm going to say is if you have a really, really tiny child who wants to play flute, please ask Mobile Music about a curved head joint. that takes the flute, which is usually out here, and it brings it here, because instead of straight all the way, the head joint actually curves and they can bring the instrument right up here. All right. So one of, yeah, even trombone we can make work, because they aren't playing the slide all the way out until, I don't know, 6th grade or so. So yeah. Did I answer all those, Jim? Did I leave anything out?
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, typical band rehearsal. We come in and we set ourselves up. We do announcements, we do warm-ups. We work on 2 or more band pieces. We do last minute announcements. We pack up together. And in between that time, we just have a great time. We joke around, not stupidly, but we are social, we have fun. We talk about the music. Sometimes we talk about current events. I bring in my baritone. By the way, her name is Esmeralda. There'll be a quiz on that, 3rd graders, if you're listening. When you get into band, what's Miss Morris's baritone's name? It's Esmeralda. So you didn't get a chance to meet her this year, but you will when you get into band, I promise. All right, we pack up all together and we leave as a group. It's awesome fun. Okay, next slide. When does band meet? On days 1, 3, and 5, before school. It's during the activity period, even though it's a graded class. So you'd have to come in on the early bus once we're back to normal. I ask that you be, and parents, yes, you can bring your child, and parents, yes, you can sit in on a band rehearsal anytime you want. Do you have to let me know ahead of time? No, come in whenever you want. Just let the school know that you're there and that you're coming to watch band. And I might put you to work because it's fun. So 7:25, and if your child's late because of the bus, we just look at each other and go, stupid bus. We don't blame the bus driver. We don't blame anything. We just go, I was late because of the bus. And you can't help that. So parents, if you're going to bring your children, that's perfectly fine, and do a drop off. Could you please have them at school by 7:25? And we meet obviously in the big music room, which is not a music room right now. It's being used for OTPT because we had to be spread out, and that was the available spot. So band meets Wednesday mornings now virtually. So yeah, everybody joins in, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, next slide. How does my child get there? I think I just talked about that. Incidents on the bus. I haven't had any in quite a few years, but if your child is taking the early bus and there's a bigger kid or somebody that's picking on them, please let me know right away. That is absolutely inexcusable, and we will take care of it. So, I have in the past ridden on the bus and cleared things up that way. I know we have a very, very caring superintendent and principal. They're very pro-child, and they want to make sure that your child is safe, and so do I, and they should not have to be harassed. So, but that hasn't happened in a while. Okay, next one. Concerts. We do at least 2 concerts during the daytime and then 2 concerts at night. We send notes home on all the activities. We have a band shirt. We all wear the same shirt. Yeah, so the first day of band, I try to hand out a year-long schedule. I try to put it in any packet. Yeah. So, and we try and do extra things. We do a parade once a year when we're allowed to have, the in-school activities. Okay, next slide. Concert attendance for students who are in band is mandatory. It's part of your grade. And yes, there are legal reasons why you would miss, okay? But at the very beginning of the year when the concerts are, so one of the things that I ask is if there's a conflict between a regular sporting event and a concert, that you attend the concert. If you're in the playoffs or your team is winning, and I don't know, you might go, I don't know, I'm just going to say nationals. Well, yeah, then we have something to talk about because, these things are important to children. So I try not to put your child in the middle. So, but I really want them at the concerts. They've worked hard for half a year on this music. They need the chance to play for an audience, to see that the audience is very exuberant about their successes and how they play. So It's important. All right, next slide.
Lynn, I'm going to interrupt you again. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Good question. While the students are in hybrid, band is not before school though, correct?
Correct.
So,
We do not have the buses to get them there. So we meet virtually Wednesday mornings from 9:30 to 10:30. All the band kids, they have the Zoom site to come, and we actually play, and we go over fundamentals of being in band and fundamentals of the roadmap of the music. We do some rhythm exercises. We talk, we do our social thing, and we just get together as a band. So yeah,
and then one other question, I guess similar to that is, some parents are trying to figure out how to let the kids know what the instruments sound like and that kind of thing.
they
Uh,
know. They were
don't-
in music class. They
Yeah.
were, if they have Mrs. B for music, she played, and you can look this up on YouTube also. It's Be a Part of the Band. And it's a really fun video that's mostly by kids, that there's a band director who kind of supervises it, but it goes through all the instruments and they play all the instruments and they talk about them. And it's really well done. And I know Mrs. Borer, showed it to all the 3rd and 4th grade classes that she has. And I think Mrs. Smith put it out virtually to all the kids to watch. So it should be out there, but it's Be Part of the Band. And
And,
they,
and they're not going to be borrowing an instrument to take it home and try it. They just
no,
listen to the sound, what they like, and then if they really like that, they put that as their first choice. And then
yes,
when they try it, it'll be when it goes home with them for their.
right,
Okay.
right. Yeah, I used to let them try mouthpieces and then I would clean them with spray disinfectant. I cannot take the chance to do that this year. If you would be a part of the band and have your child tell you, "Ooh, I like the sound of that," or even, as my sister said, "I like that because
Mhm.
it matches my hair." But my grandfather was a professional clarinetist, so he chuckled and he said, "Okay." And so he brought her his old clarinet, and that's what she started on. So kids are a lot of fun. They pick different things for different reasons, but the most important reason is I like the sound of that. One of the reasons to not pick an instrument is because, well, Susie Joe is playing that and I want to be in lessons with Susie Joe, so I'm going to pick the same thing. You have to actually play the instrument. And if you don't like the instrument as much as you like Susie Joe, you're picking something wrong for yourself. So I would say have them
Um,
tell you what they like the sound of. And
yeah,
I didn't pick clarinet, and I'll tell you why. It had too many buttons. I was afraid of all those keys. So you need to let your child know that we teach you one finger at a time, and we won't let your fingers get stuck in the instrument. That won't happen. So if you're afraid of all those keys, you don't have to be. Miss Morris will make sure that you have all your fingers by the time you're done.
And it
Oh,
doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed or
nope.
both.
Yeah.
We teach it in a progressive way where you can learn it no matter what hand you are strong with.
Yep.
and perhaps Miss Morris, we could put that video link to Be Part of the Band so the kids can see that on. I think you're going to talk to the parents tonight where they can find some of the virtual materials. Perhaps we could post that link to that video as well for them.
Okay. Yep. And I also have a DVD of it that I can see if we can make copies. I don't know if we can make copies. I'll see. But it is on YouTube. I know it is. So yeah. Okay.
We'll put it up there for you guys.
Yeah. The band shirts right now, we get them through Razzle Dazzle, and she hasn't raised the prices on them at all yet. So they're $20. When they get into band, they need to buy one of those shirts, and we use them for every event that we have during the day, where the band represents itself as a band, and also for evening concerts. I find that having that band shirt, it's a golf style shirt. Even though it's not as dressy, the kids are more comfortable. They all look the same. They look like a group that belongs together. We wear black dress pants, and chinos are fine. Dress shoes, black socks, or dark colored socks. And we look neat, we look crisp, and it's a great look, and the kids are comfortable. And especially in the summer when the stage is really hot, they're just so much more comfortable wearing that. So that's what we wear for concerts. Next slide. Oh, this is a typical schedule. Um, so let's say your child is in group D. On the 3rd of November, they're at 9:30. On the 12th, they're at 10. And you see how it goes down the line like that, so they're not missing the same thing. One consideration is when lunch and lessons meet together. I have your child go get their lunch, and then we have a lunch bunch. They have, they play first, and then they eat their lunch. And during the time they're eating, I might get my lunch out. We might have a little bit of a social time, because it's okay. If you're going to have lunch with Miss Morris, we just have a little lunch bunch. It's fun. Okay, next slide. Helpful suggestions. Be involved. Encourage your child. Don't set a practice time that's during their favorite show. My mother was smart. She picked my practice time at the time when we had chores, and it was after dinner, and it was time to do dishes. My fingers never got dishpan hands because I had to practice. My sisters and brother did the dishes. Darn, it worked great. Make sure you're at every concert that your child has. When they get older, and Joe and Jim, you can tell me whether I'm talking truth or not, they'll go, "Oh, you don't have to come. It's just a concert." Don't believe them. Don't believe them. Don't believe them. Because I have been to too many concerts where I see the kids doing this. They're looking for you. And even though they said, "No, you don't have to be there," don't believe it. They really want you there. So you can just say, "Nope. It's a family thing. We've loved hearing you practice. We want to hear the band. Oh, and by the way, we want to hear Mr. Trowbridge's jokes." You don't really, but yeah. Okay, next slide. Chart your child's practicing with a chart that be placed on a refrigerator. My brother did this for his son who was playing clarinet. And at the end of each month, if he had practiced every day, he was allowed to go, and they put a price on it, but it was when the little Game Boys first came out, and they went out and they picked out a game together to play. And one person said, "Well, you're buying your kids practice." Well, I get paid to do my job, and yes, I would do my job regardless, but you're rewarding your child for a really good thing. And not only are they learning how to play their instrument and enjoying it, but they're being rewarded for doing a good job. And again, I am not going to tell you how to raise your child, and it's just an idea. You can either choose to do that or not. And then at least once a week, ask your child to play for you. Applaud their efforts, especially when they get to the point where they play Mary Had a Little Lamb for you. It's not easy to do that. You have to learn a lot of skills before you can actually play Mary Had a Little Lamb and have it sound like Mary Had a Little Lamb. And if they can do that after 2 weeks of study, they have learned a lot. So if you can tell that it's Mary Had a Little Lamb, you really need to applaud that effort. That is not an easy thing. Okay, next slide.
And I'll just chime in. I can tell as a parent myself, some of my favorite memories of my child practicing was hearing the mistakes and then hearing the victorious, "I got it finally," So
Yeah.
it's wonderful to hear the mistakes and then to hear the improvements. And it takes years. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's a wonderful, wonderful process.
Absolutely.
And piggybacking on this too, all their successes, what they achieve with this hard work and persistence, will bleed into every other part of their lives.
Absolutely. Yep. There's been studies done. Band kids tend to be the higher achievers in school, and there's been many studies done. Well, were they the higher achievers to begin with, or was band part of it? I know for a fact that band teaches your children how to learn. It's sequential in how they learn. It opens new pathways in their brain. It actually teaches them how to become better readers, and it also teaches them how to listen. A lot of times children have problems in school because they just don't know how to listen. Music opens those pathways in their brain so that they actually learn how to learn and how to listen. And along with that, they're learning something that takes them through their entire life that they can enjoy. Understand that your child's going to go through those slumps where they want to quit. Don't let them quit during the slump, because later on in life, that sticks with them. Oh, I quit. I have so many adult people who come to me. I wish my parents wouldn't have let me quit. I wish they would have made me stick with it. And then they look at me and they say, well, it's too late now. And I'm like, no, it's never too late. Mm-mm. My mother played her piano and sang right up to the last month that she was alive. And as bad as she was at the end, she remembered all the words to her favorite songs from the 40s and 50s. And she sang them. So you're actually giving your child a gift that will last their entire life. It's amazing what music can do. All right, next slide. Oh, that's the end. All right. Okay, I'm going to reintroduce Tim and Denise Chapel, and they have how to secure an instrument. And I'm hoping that I can get back to everybody whose child wants to start with the instrument choice. Before Tim and Denise start, if I don't give your child the first choice and there's like, I call it a throwdown at my house, and they're just not happy and there's, please let me know. It's lmorris@midlakes.org, and I am more than happy to work with you. Okay, Tim and Denise, you're on.
Great, thank you. Hello, everyone.
How you doing?
We will be very brief here for you. Probably the most difficult thing for us over the years has been finding affordable instruments or an affordable program with a quality instrument that your child will excel at and be able to use, like Miss Morris said, right through high school. So this sheet right here, basically just a few important things. This is a rent-to-own program where your monies, 100% of your money goes towards purchasing the instrument. At no point are you ever obligated to purchase the instrument. You can return or exchange it at any time. When I say exchange at any time, if your child just does not like the instrument they're playing with, you discuss it with your band directors, and you are able to switch to another instrument. All of the equity that you put into this rental can transfer to another instrument if that is something that you would like to do. Again, you're never obligated to purchase it. We also offer a liability insurance program we'll talk about in a second. And also an additional positive is you can also purchase the instrument outright early at any point for an additional 30% off. I don't recommend doing anything crazy like that right now because we found a way to offer very affordable monthly rentals. If you already own an instrument and you may need it to be repaired or just take a look at, feel free to drop into the store, or Tim is over at your school every Wednesday. I neglected to say that he's a certified instrument repair technician. We've been calling on your school for over 40 years. We're not far from your district, so if you want to stop into the store, right now we're open 10 to 6. Normally, once we get on the other side of these unusual times, we'll go back to being open every night till 8 o'clock. But for now, we're there for you. And Joe, if we could go to the next slide.
Sure. Which one did you want, Denise?
The one with the numbers on it. Let's talk about how, yep.
Okay.
If I can interrupt, Lynn, I have a quick question here, and it does have to do immediately with this. When do things start? When do we need instruments by?
If you could have everything to mobile music by December 15th, I think they're going to say that. I always start the day after Martin Luther King holiday. I try to have things out and ready to go by then. And what else was I going to say? If they could have their child's instrument choices to me, maybe by the day after Thanksgiving break, I will get back to them probably within 2 days with what instrument, and then they can go ahead and contact Mobile Music. And one thing I wanted to add to what they were saying, Tim is an amazing repair person.
Right.
So if your instrument is through Mobile Music, or even if it's a, a home instrument or a used instrument that you pick up, he's amazing. So don't be afraid to take your instrument there. He does a great job, and he's cool. We like him.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. So basically, how do you get this instrument? It again is a rent to own program. We're able to offer this program through our affiliation with Music and Arts, which I know some of you, when we're in parent meetings with you in person and such, we see a lot of adults that we had back in our rental program when you were children and such. So we do see a lot of repeat customers and parents and such that we've been working with for years. But as far as Music and Arts, we handle everything at Mobile Music with the exception of the payments go directly to them. We will take care of repairing the instrument, your rental, help you with any exchanges or any repairs or anything that you need right at the store or through the regular weekly visit at your school. We have made it incredibly easy and contactless for you to be able to get your hands on an instrument and have it delivered right to the school. It actually, through an online process, it actually takes less than 3 minutes. And all you need to do is give us a call or stop into the store, and we'll give you the passcode. If you stop into the store, we'll fill the contract right out online in the store for you, with you. Or if you give us a call, we can walk you through it also for the passcode. Again, this is a rent to own program. So on the first column there where the instruments are listed, as Ms. Morris said, these are all intermediate instruments, something that's going to take you right through high school. So it's not something you're going to have to replace. And people are always like, well, what about the case or what about the mouthpiece or anything? This is a complete outfit. This is everything that you're going to need to get your child started. If your child is playing a clarinet or a saxophone, a woodwind instrument, they're going to need reeds and such down the road. And we'll get to that in a second. So let's just look at the flute as an example. It says Yamaha YFL 262 open hole. That is basically the instrument that your school is recommending and that we will supply to you. The next column says 3-month trial period. That's all 3 months. So basically for $10 a month, you can start with a flute. So $30 for all 3 months. If everything's going well and you continue renting, you then go monthly thereafter, and it goes to $30 a month. And then that last column there where it says retail price, and you're probably thinking there's quite a fluctuation there between $900 and $1,300. What we do is we have instruments that are brand new, or what we call PL1s, PL2s, or PL3s. So that $900 instrument, or flute, I should say, is probably an instrument that's been rented out once or twice previously. It comes back to the repair shop, gets totally sanitized, dents get removed, and it goes back out in wonderful playing condition.
Can I break in here?
Absolutely.
Do not be afraid of those, because instruments that have been looked at once or twice actually, they're really good for playing, and anything that might have been, I don't know, any little filings that might have been left in it from the first time it was put on the store shelf and stuff, those have all been taken care of. They actually play extremely well. So if there's a PL1 or a PL2 available, that's really something to try for. It's nothing you need to be ashamed of, and they look brand new and they play amazing. So there you go.
Great, thank you. And that's exactly what we recommend also. There's no additional savings monthly, but in the long run, there's significant savings. Just drop down to the trumpet or trombone or percussion. That basically is 3 months, all 3 months for $22. Monthly thereafter, it then goes $22 a month. And the final price is, again, is new or PL2 or PL3. The only thing that this does not include is what you see here below is LDW. The easiest way for me to explain that is insurance. It covers fire, loss, theft, and repairs. Obviously, if it's lost or stolen, you need to do a police report immediately, but you can be covered for all of these items. Years ago, we used to say, no, check your homeowners, or it's not going to be that expensive to replace a clarinet mouthpiece or whatever. Today, we definitely recommend it. If you want insurance, we have to put it on in the beginning. Unfortunately, if you find your child has continued to leave it on the school bus or has dropped it a few times or whatever, we cannot add insurance down the road. We can start with insurance and remove it down the road if you find that things are going well and you want to save that additional $7. But in the beginning, when you start, that is a decision you're going to have to make. I think that pretty much covers it as far as how do I get this instrument? Stop into the store or give us a call. We will give you a special code. And in a second, we're going to walk through how you can actually do it online very quickly. And then the next page, if you can, Joe, would be great.
The accessories page, Denise?
Yep, that'd be great. Just keep this page for your own home use. As you're progressing or as you need things through the school year and such, just simply give the store a call or use this order form, email it or fax it into the store, and Tim can deliver these items right over to school for you. The method books and the music stands, early on in the presentation, you saw that those were required instruments. So under the books here, you're going to need to get a method book pertaining to your child's instrument. And we also discount the music stands for you for $12.95.
Can I interrupt?
No, yep.
Okay, I didn't cover this and I should have when we were talking about the books. All woodwinds and brass will use the student instrumental course and the 5-minute theory book. Percussion will use simple steps to keyboard and contemporary method for snare drum, as well as 5-minute theory. So there's 2 books if you're a woodwind or a percussionist. There's 3 if you're, there's 2 books if you're a woodwind or a brass player, and 3 if you're a percussionist.
Super, thank you. And
Can I butt in a couple, borrowing instruments?
Yes.
I'm going to enter this live. We have certain instruments at each level that are school owned, tubas, baritones, some of the bigger bari saxes in the higher grades. And then Miss Morris tries to make it happen if cost is a huge issue for you. Please talk to her because we try to get that working for you somehow until you can. Obviously best if you can have one that you can rent to own or something like that, because then it's yours to do with. But we do try to make that not an obstacle if it's a cost issue.
Yeah, like I said, I have a closet full of instruments that are just sitting there. So if cost is an issue, and you don't have to tell anybody about that, you just say,
No.
You don't even have to say to me, just say, we're going to have trouble getting an instrument. This is what my child wants to play. Can you help? And the answer is, I will do my best for you, because I'd rather have a child play and not put that burden on any of you. So yeah.
all right, fabulous. So how do we do it online? Basically, because you don't know which instrument you're going to use yet, I'm just going to briefly go through it. If you go to musicandarts.com, you're going to go under rentals.
Denise, would you like me to go to that website at all?
Actually, that would be great if you can.
It's again, you have to tell me.
Musicandarts.com.
Okay. All one word.
You got it.
Musicandarts.com.
Isn't she
What
cute?
is that? That's adorable.
So let's see if I got the right website. All right, I think I did.
No.
No, wrong. All right, maybe we just talk. So music and arts, huh? Okay. Musicandarts.com, or is that their site, or?
Music Arts, no and.
Okay.
Musicarts.com.
Okay. Let me get my my screen's not cooperating. Musicarts.com.
Well, while they're doing that, Lynn, good question here. What does a typical virtual band lesson look like? If you could just explain that quickly.
What it looks like now.
That's good, Joe.
I have them in classes according to grade and instrument. We start in the book at the beginning. I explain step by step what they need to do, and I'm recording myself on a Zoom, and I send it to them, and then they have that to practice along with me all week. And then before their next lesson, let's say their lessons are on Mondays, I ask them to send me them playing a video of 2 items that we've worked on to send back, of them playing, to send back to me, and then we work on that. What I'm trying to do, and I haven't gotten it set up quite yet, is giving each child a 15-minute lesson time one-on-one. So I am working on that, but I do like doing the videos because then they have me every day and they're not forgetting what I'm asking them to practice. And I'm not trying to overwhelm them. I'm trying to keep it a reasonable amount of work. So they play along with me every day on the video. They play the Zoom video with me, and it's through Seesaw, just like the rest of the stuff that they're getting. And then at the end of the week before their next lesson, they send me the video back.
All right, super. So musicarts.com, right there, Joe, where it says rentals, if you would click on that, perfect. It's really important here that you, instead of find your school, you use quick code. Over to the right, up and over to the right, right there. You need to click on quick code, yes. Because we're going to give you a code. If you can write it down, or if you forget it, just give us a call. The code is S as in school 7379. You're going to go down and you're going to select your child's grade and get started. And that quick code is important. Yep. Go ahead and hit get started.
Yep, and Ms. Morris, perhaps we can post this code online as well. Would that be okay, Denise, to have that available?
Absolutely. Yep, it will be critical for them.
Okay, wait a minute. I got to put my glasses on now. S7379.
You got it.
Yeah, we'll make sure we post that so you folks know how to get on.
And quick code's important. And we're there. We'll talk you through it, but quick code's important. Otherwise, what's going to happen is they're going to start trying to sell you all these things that you don't need.
Right.
Go ahead and hit get started. Yep. And it's going to bring you to us. Hit continue. Now you're going to find your school over where it says zip code on the right hand side. You're going to type in your zip code.
What is it, Lynn?
14432.
Oh,
14432. There you go. Yep. I think 10 miles will get you there. Let's see. Find school. Basically, what you're seeing is all the schools that we call on. And there you are, the very first one. Okay. You're going to click on your school. And here you just pick, when you know your instrument, you touch on your instrument and you click it. It's then just pick one. Yep. You're going to skip the 10-month trial period and go down to the 3-month trial period. It's a whole lot more affordable to get started, see how your child does. And so you're going to do the 3-month trial period. This is where you add the LDW if you would like it.
already in there.
Yep. And continue.
Okay.
And this is where you fill in your name. And the only thing we can probably stop at the.
Okay.
Go ahead and do continue, Joe.
I did, and it seems to be stuck. Maybe it wanted me to punch that one in. There we go. And then, okay. Oh, I'll accept it.
Yep.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay.
No,
So you put your, yep. So you go ahead and you put your child's name in, then you put yours. And I will tell you that where it says renter government issued ID, I don't know why, but that's just your driver's license. I don't know why they can't just say driver's license, but that's your driver's license. And then you accept it and you're there. As far as the method books and such, we take care of that by you giving us a call or stopping into the store. We have them right in stock, as well as the music stands. And I realize you don't know your instrument at this point, and you're going to forget all of this by the time you get there. But we can help you if you just give us a call over the phone. Again, the code is S7379. That will be important. At the bottom where it says, or bottom right where it says for assistance, call that 800 number. Don't call that 800 number. Call our numbers that are on all of the paperwork that we gave you.
And Joe, can I just say thank you for the rental? You just rented a clarinet. We'll get it right over to you.
I was going to say,
And then,
way to go,
yes.
Joe.
Well,
And
you
then
did
how-
buy me a second mouthpiece last year, so.
And then how do you get the instrument? We deliver the instruments right to school. What a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to fill out my contract now and then have the payment start. Your payment does not start until your child actually starts. So the second week of January, about January 19th or 20th, is that that is when your payment's actually going to start. So it's actually going to take you to almost to Easter time with the 3-month trial period. Our phone number is 585-394-0296. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And if you get stuck with anything, you can also email me at lmorris@midlakes.org. But I wanted to give Jim and Joe both a chance to talk just a sentence or two about the difference between the elementary program and their program. So the next program after mine, it would be going to middle school to Joe. Joe, would you say a few things
Yeah.
that would, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So the program is very similar all throughout the different grade levels. The kids have lessons that they come to. We expect them to practice. We have band rehearsals and concerts. We start to do a few more things as they get older. Solo festivals, although some of your kids go to solo festival, Miss Morris.
Yep.
On a good year, when it's not a COVID-19 year, we'll take them to Darien Lake. We do some other fun things together. Past several, our kids in the middle school compose their own music, and
There's a jazz ensemble.
yeah, we have jazz ensemble as well. We're doing some of these things virtually this year. It's very interesting, but we're making it happen one way or another. But it's a worthwhile program. Both of my children have went through the Canandaigua program, and it was just wonderful to see them develop. Lynn, you mentioned kids wanting to quit every now and then. My own daughter Hannah wanted to quit a few years ago on piano. We said no. And well, now she's at Fredonia as a piano major. So, your kids are going to have low points. Middle school is one of those transitional years. But just encourage your kids. Like I said, even my 11th grade daughter, she likes to play for her parents. When I tell her to practice, she doesn't want to, but if I say, play that for me, she does, really. Your kids will love you being involved with it. So, and again, some of the kids, I think they're just some of the best characters that we have in the middle school are the kids that are in the music program. Character in a good way, that is. Really fine students. I mean, some of the most respectful, kind kids. You really want your kid in the music program. You will never regret your kid being a part of the music program. They're going to run into some of the nicest people and hopefully start a hobby for a lifetime.
And they make the longest lasting friends. The friends that I keep in contact with, even from my elementary school, which was many years ago, I'm still in contact with the music kids that I went to school with. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on Joe there. That was, the biggest form of flattery you can have, especially at the high school level, is to actually show up for the concerts and show up and ask to hear them. And I will tell you that there are a lot less honks and squeaks at the high school level. That's one of the biggest differences you hear, and it becomes an enjoyable thing. And you really want to hear them. So that's a bonus.
I love the squeaks and squawks when they're younger, though. It's really fun to watch and watch them improve and overcome different challenges. Your kids will learn how to be long range people. They'll learn how to stick with something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
persistence.
Yeah.
And we do all kinds of great things. I try to make it a point for them to see or hear another point of view every year. We either have a guest conductor come in or we take them on a trip. We're trying for Disney in spring of 2022. We'll see how that works. So we're fundraiser, shameful plug for our fundraiser. Go on to ask any band member and they will send you to a website for that, by the way, poinsettias. Or you can email me at jtrowbridge@midlakes.org. Shameful plug. But we do that because we try to give the students at our level, especially, different opportunities to go see the world, to see amazing things. Disney World does bar none, the best workshop ever. And the kids will tell you that if you talk to any student who's gone through there.
I will tell you that.
Yeah.
I got to be part of that.
Fun.
It was amazing.
So fun. So, it's just a great progression. And Lynn is one of the best, folks to start with people. You are not going to regret this. You're going to have such a fun time with her playing. And again, she will do everything in her power to make it enjoyable and, and fun for you. Don't ever fret about anything. Just ask.
The kids love Miss Morris. If she comes into a middle school band rehearsal, I can't get anything done. They all rush the door and try to hug her. It's truly, your kids are in great hands with Miss Morris. They truly love her, and it's a real family here.
I am
Speaking of family, I want to give a shout out to Mobile Music too, because
absolutely, they're part of the family.
They are so great to us, and
they are
deliver things to our doorstep and we can get it to you, and they're very reasonable on everything they do. And just really professional about it. So thank you.
They absolutely go backwards for us. Absolutely. Yep. They do. Yep. They have worked miracles for us. They are amazing people.
Agreed.
Well, thank you. You're embarrassing us, guys. So
and Denise has a chocolate shop too.
Denise has a chocolate shop too. What's
I just want to tell you a real quick Midlakes band student story. When you mentioned Disney, Andy Hagerman was a band student at Midlakes, graduated. And when we took our kids to Disney back about 25 years ago, Andy was performing and hired by Disney and performing when we entered. He was the tuba player. When we entered Disney. So that's just a little Midlakes band student story. So.
Wow.
And we have one in the RPO. Lisa Albrecht is the trombone player in the RPO, Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra.
Used to be in Chicago. Yep. So we have some really good players out there doing some really awesome stuff. So, yep. And once things get back going, every year I take the band kids to the RPO. They have a special program specifically for elementary aged band and orchestra kids, and it's fabulous. So we do that too. So we try and get them out there to hear other people playing. There's nothing better to learn your sound by hearing your sound played and played well.
I just have to interject here. We have an attendee who is a former band student who went to Disney World, and she says, Disney is the best.
Is it Tiffany?
Yes.
Hi, Tiffany. Yes, we called one of my past teaching buddies called when she got older and started getting the students of her students. She would call them shamelessly. She would call them retreads, and I am at the point now where I am getting what I call retreads, and a happier woman I have never been in my life, because I get to see my students who are grown up and being parents now, and it just does something for my heart that says, yeah, it all comes around. So I love it.
Long enough, you'll be seeing their grandchildren, right?
Yep. And that's okay. Yep. So if you're a parent and you were in my band, you're a retread, and yep, you just wear that with pride, because I certainly am. Yep, love it. So I think unless there's any more questions, I think what we're going to do is call this done. I'm going to stop the recording, and you'll see it up on the website once.
One quick thing, Lynn. Will they be receiving an information packet on everything covered tonight? Or
yes. Once they sign up, send me. Okay. Once they send me the list of what their child might want to play, I will make sure that gets in the mail. It might be a materials pickup day for them, or I can send it in the mail. If they can't get here on a materials pickup day, which we usually have 2 a month, if they can't get it then, or they want to stop in and say, Miss Morris has something for me to pick up, I will be happy to do that for them. Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
But every parent should get a packet at some point. Yes.
And we'll make sure that we make everything available electronically as well, including the website links to music and arts and the code and such. We'll make sure everything's electronic as well.
Yep. And you can always call me at school. They'll plug you right through to me. You can email me at any time. Don't be afraid. Yep. Better to ask. Okay. So if everybody's okay, I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to say thank you for joining us tonight. And I can't wait to meet your children and start them on an instrument. Have a great evening.
Everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.